Answer this question. Have you ever been in a place where money has been extremely tight and you felt like you didn't really have any options and you just needed to go borrow some money to figure out how to get to the next stage? What do you do when you feel like you don't really have any financial options? You just need to go get some money, borrow some money to make it to the next day. What's going on? Ryan Lockett here, your global business banking strategist. So today I want to talk to you about a very important concept, leveraging versus borrowing. Okay, now, why is that important to you? Answer this question. Have you ever been in a place where money has been extremely tight and you felt like you didn't really have any options and you just needed to go borrow some money to figure out how to get to the next stage, right? This could be personally, this could be with your business, a number of different things. Most people have been there. Not everybody, but most people have been there, okay? And so I want to answer the question, the very real question of like, what do you do when you feel like you don't really have any financial options? You just need to go get some money, borrow some money to make it to the next day, or to get your business to make it to the next week, to make sure that you keep the lights on, or to make sure that you have enough to meet whatever this very real but immediate goal is in your business and in your life. Well, fortunately for you, the Bible actually speaks very directly to this. So first, I want to introduce the concept, leveraging versus borrowing. The definition of borrow in my book, my paraphrase, really is when you use something that belongs to someone else for any prescribed period of time and then you return it. Now, when you're talking about lending or bank lending, now you're talking about using bank money for a prescribed period of time, 6 months, 3 years, whatever, and then you return it. However, most of us know that you're going to have to return it with interest, which means you're paying to use that money, okay? So really, you are losing money because you borrowed the money. You have to give the same amount of money back, but you have to do it with a fee on top. So let's say you borrowed $5,000 or $500,000, and then you have to pay it back with a fee on top. So you're paying back more than you borrowed. Most of us know this. Not hard stuff. Leverage is when you utilize funds or capital from the bank. However, you utilize that to grow a profit for yourself that is greater than the interest you have to pay. So let's do simple math. Let's say the interest you have to pay, or the fee you have to pay on those funds, let's say you borrowed $100,000 and you have to pay 17%, right? So you have to pay 17% on top of that $100,000 back to the bank. However, let's say you utilize those funds to grow a 30% profit for yourself. Well, you subtract that 17% from the 30, you have 13% on top. So after you paid back the funds of $100,000 plus the 17% interest, you actually made money. That's called leverage. Simply put, leverage is way better than borrowing. Borrowers are losers. When you borrow, you lose money. When you leverage, you make money. When you're in business, you obviously want to make money. And when you continue to leverage bank funds, you continue to make more and more money, and it actually looks good on you. The bank wants to give you more capital for you to leverage because they know that you are using it responsibly and you are a profitable investment, and it works for them because they're caretakers of money. So it becomes a win-win. So when you and your business understand how to leverage money, the bank wants to continue lending you money, and you get to a point to where you don't have to call the bank calls you. Now, that said, let's answer the question. Okay, I hear that. That's great philosophy or whatever. But what do I do when it's like I just need money now to get to the next week? Like my situation's bad. How do I handle that situation? I understand borrowing's not good, but what do I do when it's just like, if I just get this money, I can keep the lights on, I can keep the party going long enough to figure it out? Well, so the Old Testament, 2 Kings chapter 4, one of the books in the Old Testament, there's an account that when you're not really paying attention, you might miss it, but it actually speaks directly to this. So verse 1 of chapter 4 in 2 Kings, it reads, "One day the widow of a member of the group of prophets came to Elisha and cried out." Now, Elisha, he's a prophet, and the group of prophets, these are essentially, think of it like an entourage. It's maybe not the best term, but it's a group of people that travel with the prophets, right? A member of this group, she came and she cried out, "My husband who served you is dead. You know how he feared the Lord." So there's a relationship, right? "But now a creditor has come threatening to take my 2 sons as slaves." Wait a minute. She has 2 sons. She had a husband. He died. And whether she knew about it or not, he had debts. And the debts were unpaid. And he died with those debts unpaid. And now the creditors are coming to take her sons. This is bad. I don't know how bad your situation has gotten, but this is pretty bad. So verse 2, Elisha says, "What can I do to help you? Tell me, what do you have in the house?" First step to leveraging is understanding what you personally have. What do you personally have? This may be a resource. This may be a skill. This may be a knowledge base. This may be expertise. This may be experience. You have something that can serve as the hinge point for your leveraging, okay? She says, "Nothing at all except a flask of olive oil." Okay, so her answer is kind of confusing. She says nothing at all, but then she remembers except a flask of olive oil. Understand that when you have something, the answer is never nothing. All of us have something, so the answer is never actually nothing. She just doesn't see it as something, so she leads with nothing. And part of the problem for all of us, myself included at times, is we don't see what we actually have. What's our value? What can we bring to the marketplace? What do we have that other people need? Okay, so Elisha says, "Borrow as many empty jars as you can from your friends and neighbors. Then go into your house with your sons and shut the door behind you. Pour olive oil from your flask into the jars, setting each one aside when it is filled." Okay, so he's giving her the leverage play. He's not giving her the hinge point for her leverage. She already had that. He's telling her what the play is because of what she has. And sometimes we need to talk to someone who's more experienced in something or in an industry or whatever area so that they can give us a play on how we can leverage something we have. Some people call it mentoring, some people call it coaching, some people call it getting a consultant, whatever it is. Sometimes it takes someone outside of you to help show you what you have so that you can leverage and actually grow. So he says, go to your community because you have community. And understand your community may not even know what you're going through, but go to your community and I want you to ask them for all the jars. Get as many jars as you can and then come back to your home, shut the door, remove all the excuses, remove all the distractions, and just you and your sons pour out into these jars. What is this? This is her taking as many open doors as she can and pouring her gift into it. This is her taking as many opportunities as she has and she is pouring herself into it. Meaning, he's telling her, take the opportunities you have and do as much as you can with it. Pour into as many jars as you can. So she said, so she did as she was told. Her sons kept bringing jars to her, and she filled one after another. Soon every container was full to the brim. "Bring me another jar," she said to one of her sons. "There aren't any more," he told her, and then the olive oil stopped flowing. Understand, the oil flowed for as long as she had another opportunity. Sometimes we think, I don't have enough, or I'm not enough, or I can't do enough. But understand, you can always do more than you think you can. And if you don't believe me, I'm talking to myself before I talk to you. You can always do more than you think you can. Okay, so again, let's follow the stages here. Step number 1 for leverage is recognize what you actually do have. Okay, recognize the value of what you actually have. 2, look for resources and opportunities to pour what you have into the community around you so that other people can value what you have. And keep pouring until those opportunities run out. Give and give and give of yourself and pour into every single opportunity until there are no more. So what happens next? When she told the man of God what had happened, he said to her, "Now sell the olive oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on what is left over." Okay, wait, so what just happened here? She started saying, I have nothing. I have nothing except some olive oil, and they're going to come take my sons. What can I do? She was helpless. She was hopeless. Primary reason she was helpless and hopeless is because 1, she didn't know the value of who she was and what she had, and 2, she did not recognize the opportunities around her to utilize who she was and what she had. So it took someone outside of her to point out what she could do to actually leverage the situation. So she goes and she leverages the resources around her. She goes and she leverages the jars. And in doing so, he then comes back and says, okay, now sell all the oil, pay off your debts, and live on the profit. Because now she didn't borrow, she leveraged. So, sometimes the difference between borrowing and leveraging is not what is being borrowed or what is being leveraged, but in almost every case, the difference is the person who's doing it. And do you understand what you have in order to leverage something and create growth for yourself and create value for those around you? I guarantee that every single one of us has something within us, within our business, within our skill set, within our knowledge base that we can leverage to grow what we have, utilize the resources around us, and create a win-win so that those who are lending something to us, and in many cases when the bank lends capital to us, we grow that capital, we get a profit, they get a profit because we paid a fee, and everybody wins. That's what the situation should always be. And if it's anything else, we can blame ourselves because we had a borrowing mentality, not a leveraging mentality. So my call to you, my challenge here is regardless of the situation. Now, this is not easy, but it is necessary. Regardless of the situation, we don't ever borrow again. We always leverage because there's always something we have. There's always an opportunity around us if we open our eyes to it where we can leverage and grow and still create a win-win. We do that and we will fast track our journey to capital. We will fast track our journey to growing our business, and we will fast track our journey ultimately to a better, thriving life.